confirmation hearings, you promised to uphold the highest standards for vaccines. Since then, I've grown deeply concerned. The public has seen measles outbreaks, leadership in the National Institute of Health questioning the use of mRNA vaccines, the recently confirmed director of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention fired. Americans don't know who to rely on.
That was Senator John Barrasso. He is a Republican Senate leader and a doctor, and he's one of a few Senate Republicans who expressed concern or skepticism today over the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s policies. Vice President Vance weighing in after the hearing with this message of support, apparently, for the health secretary. He wrote this, quote, "All these senators trying to lecture and gotcha Bobby Kennedy are, quote, full of SHIT. And joining me now is Republican Senator from Oklahoma, Markwayne Mullin. He sits on the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, among others. Senator, thanks very much for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Senator Barrasso there was very clear. He says he's concerned about the public's health because of what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has done with the health agencies. Do you share his concern?
Well, I think he's concerned about the American people's health as a whole. I mean, if you go back to when CDC was stood up, which was 1946, July 1st, 1946, which would have been 79 years ago, there was only 3% of the country that had chronic illness. Today, we're over 76%. Senator Barrasso is a doctor. He's questioning science, which used to, it was okay to question science. Now you can't. To even question Bobby Kennedy and say, hey, are we sure we're moving in the right direction? There's nothing wrong with asking questions. It's when you start accusing him of being unethical, or you're starting accusing him of sabotage, or you start accusing him of being an anti-vaxxer or something like that. But to question science, all Senator Barrasso was doing was questioning science, and he's a doctor and he should do that.
You're saying that Barrasso there was questioning science? I mean, I heard
questioning the statistics as a whole. I mean, why are we the sickest nation in the world? Casey, we should be asking that question. What is wrong with saying, okay, if in 1950 we were at 3% chronic illness, today we're at 76. In 1950 we were one of the healthiest nations. Today we're the sickest nation in the world. Where has CDC succeeded? Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. What Bobby is doing, or Secretary Kennedy is doing, is he's going in there and he's questioning things, saying, hey, we need to look at every aspect. There isn't anything that should be unlooked at. Just because it's science and we think it's proven science, science is always changing.
So I want to pull apart, I take your point about chronic diseases, and it's very clear that there are a lot of Americans in the world that are concerned about things like food dyes and pesticides and all the things.
Let's talk about autism. I mean, autism is running rampant.
So I want to pull all of the chronic stuff apart from trust in vaccines, because if the kids at my kid's school don't get vaccinated for the measles, the chances that my kid is going to get measles go up, right? So that affects all of us. And it was very clear today that we saw Secretary Kennedy questioning these vaccines. That was the heart of what Barrasso was saying. It was the heart of what other Republicans have been focused on. Do you think Secretary Kennedy's in the right place on vaccines?
I absolutely do. By questioning vaccines without question. I'm a father of 6. All my kids are vaccinated. But it did question it. When you start looking at statistics, what was it? 1 in 10,000 kids when we first started tracking autism was diagnosed with as autistic. Today, it's 1 in 10,
but
and
why
some
are
numbers
you
are less than
that
that.
to vaccines?
I'm not. I'm saying, why wouldn't we look at it? What's changed? What we need to do is look at.
We have looked at it,
No.
and there has been
So we shouldn't look at it again.
And there have not. The study showed there was no connection between the MMR vaccine and autism. There was a retracted study.
Well, there's different ingredients than just 1 or 2 things inside vaccinations. There's several things that go into every vaccine, and look at how many shots we were giving our kids. When my first son was born 21 years ago versus to what my 14-year-old daughter has to get now for school is greatly different. And that was just a short period of time. We're increasing the number of vaccines we're giving to the kids, and we're increasing chronic illness. We're increasing autism.
But
why wouldn't we just question it?
How do you know that that's connected?
We don't, but why wouldn't we look into it?
Well, why would...
So what's wrong, Casey? What's wrong with questioning it? Why should we question it? As a parent, I know you're a parent, I'm a parent. Why wouldn't we question it? What is wrong with Bobby questioning what the CDC is doing? Because it's not working right now.
Well, he's in charge, and he controls access for many Americans because what the CDC says and does with its vaccine schedule affects insurance. It already has taken away choice for people who want to get the COVID vaccine at their local CVS in over a dozen states. How is that giving people more choices and allowing them to question more effectively?
If anybody wants a COVID vaccine, they can go get it. They may not be able to get it at every pharmacy they walk into, but you know and I know they can get it. It's offered in every state. It's offered in every city. It may not be offered in every town, like my town of Westville. I'm sure it's not offered in that town because we don't have a hospital. We don't have a national pharmacy. We have a hometown drugstore. So, but it's available, and it's relatively available. So for people to say that it's not available at CVS anymore, that's nothing.
But the issue being that the CDC resignations came because, according to the now ousted CDC director, who was appointed by President Trump, she was asked to accept vaccine recommendations around the children's vaccine schedule that she didn't want to accept. And that schedule is something that affects every American and what they're able to do. Are you comfortable with the way that that board has changed, considering what Ms. Menard says?
Absolutely correct. I mean, I actually am. Here's what I know about business, and I'll take CDC as a business for just a second, because we all make decisions based on two things: the way we're raised and our life experiences. Business is my life. I know that you need to hire right and you need to fire right, and everybody you hire isn't actually the right person. Sometimes you got to fire that person too. And if they're not working with your direction that you're wanting to move, either in that organization or they were part of the organization before you got there, sometimes they just don't belong anymore. And when you have a failing business, if you take over a company, you have a failing business, not everybody's going to be successful that works there because it was failing for a reason. CDC has been failing. We know that by just looking at statistics of where we were in 1950 to where we are today with chronic illness alone, we know it's failing. So there has to be changes made. And what Secretary Kennedy is doing, and he is questioning science and he's bringing in change. We should be thankful that this administration is trying to change the healthiness of the American people. When we look at where we are today as far as being the sickest nation in the world, we have to make changes, and it's becoming a national security risk. Think about this. Only 8 out of 10 kids today aren't eligible to serve within DOD, meaning they're not qualified to even go through boot camp. So only 2 out of 10 kids can actually pass the exams.
Vaccines that are required to join the United States military?
I'm well aware of it. Well aware of it.
Yeah, of course you are. And I mean, look, in your home state of Oklahoma, tetanus, polio, MMR, Hep A, Hep B, chickenpox, kids have to have all of these to go to school. And if there are kids that don't get this regime, the other kids around them are more likely to get sick. No?
How many vaccines are we giving out today?
To our children?
Yeah, to our children.
Well, if you listen to...
all the way through before they go to school, college.
Well, I think that what RFK's answer would be is about 76, but the way that obscures, it's the number of shots for several of these.
And what was it in 1980?
Sir, I don't know, because I didn't vaccinate kids in 1980. I'm doing it now, so I know the vaccines now.
So let's just use your number of 76, and let's go back to just use another number of 7, because it was under 10.
And I would just like to clarify that 76 is misleading. It is used by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but it counts up the number of times there are, say, 3 courses for MMR, right? You need 3 shots over years to get vaccinated for MMR. So when you count them all up, it's 76. But it's misleading because the number of diseases that you're vaccinating against is closer to 20.
Okay, well, let's just use, is it being effective? Because if we have 76%,
my kid has not had any.
But if we're looking at 76% of the population now has chronic illness, 1 out of every 10 kids today have autism. What is it? Are we healthier as a nation or are we not?
But why is that about vaccines?
We don't know if it's about vaccines. What we're saying is what Bobby's doing is questioning science.
But you're taking
used to it was okay
you're
to
going
question
to risk
science.
kids dying of measles?
We're not going to die. We're not taking the risk of measles. We're not anti.
More kids have died of measles in this country this year than in decades.
Well, if you want to get into that, we can talk about the open to southern border and what caused that. Because you had an inflation over 20 million people that came over illegally underneath the Biden administration that wasn't vaccinated. We're not talking about measles outbreaks from kids that were born and raised here inside the United States. We're talking about ones that were brought over here illegally. And you can make that connection. There's no one can argue that.
Okay. Well, sir, I think we actually are probably out of time here, although there were a number of other things I'd like to ask you about. And I know you wanted to talk about one thing in particular, which is this backlog.
Sure, I'll go wherever you want to go.
Are you sure? Okay.
Whatever.
So they were very specific, but I must ask
Casey,
this question.
I'm on your time.
All right. Well, in that case, I want to say thank you very much for doing this. I appreciate it. I hope you'll come back.